So here I'm going to show you a very simple project that has wide application, does not need a lot of tools, but I think is ideal for a homeschooling environment, for example. So first of all, this is what I'm going to show you. One of these guys, that is a cable organizer around which you can wind your earphones, snap it shut, and then you've got your earphones organized, the cables not all over the show. So that is what we're going to do, and there's many variations on the theme. This is a kind of a square one that I have, but you can also make them round like this. That is totally round with two notches on either side where you wind your earphone cables. So to do that, I make a template for myself of just cardboard. It's cereal cardboard, old cereal box. So this particular one, 4 by 4 inches, and then I took the two sides in here on either side by 1/2 inch, so that the cables are wound around this side from side to side, and it snaps shut. There you'll see I have two holes indicated up there and down here, and that's where the snaps will be put in. Okay, so but first, the actual part that I want to show you is dealing with the leather. So I've got two pieces of leather here, and the difference in color comes from a different recipe that they were tanned with in the tannery. So that would make them oxidize differently. This one's going to stay longer, white longer, light longer. This one is already started to oxidize to a very nice honey color. So, if you can probably not see very clearly, but I have already marked out the lines there. Let me show you, first I want to get this guy wet. I'm going to do some simple stamping on this, and then I'll show you the tools that we're using for this exercise. So I've got a little container of water, a small little sponge, and I am going to get this leather wet. So this need not be a very sophisticated exercise. All you want to do is get the leather wet. Now you'll see that, and I'll show you, I've got two of those shapes marked out on the leather already to save time. But I'm also getting the leather wet next to that, and the reason for that is just to give me a bit of time to practice, to see what the stamp look like, etc. Okay, so that's going to have to sit a while. That will be ready for stamping once the leather returns to its lighter color. You'll see the water made it very dark, so we're going to have that water penetrate, get deeper into the leather, and make it damp deeper. Okay. So now, in the meantime, we're going to play with this piece of leather. So, and first, let me show you the tools that we'll use. Simple tools. The first I have is a scratch awl. So the scratch awl just got a very sharp tip, and it is what I can mark the leather with. I never bring pen, pencil, any ink close to the leather surface. In fact, I try always to keep the leather surface as clean as possible. That helps a whole lot. Okay, so then that I mark the leather with. Just a simple break-off blade knife with the blade can retract, so it's safe. That is all you need to cut the leather with. Here I've got a few very simple stamping tools. and especially with younger kids. The idea for me is to let them really let their imaginations flow. So I'm going to just play with those three. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've not got anything pre-planned, but we'll see what we can do with that. And that's, I think, the idea behind leather, is that you can let your imagination run with it. These two pieces that I've marked on here, I did not get this leather wet. I'm not going to stamp it. I want to show you instead a few other simple ways to do this. The leather surface is much like paper, so you can write on it. You can burn it like wood in wood burning, if that's a tool you have. You can, the easiest and nicest way, you can paint on it and that, but the easiest and nicest way is that you can draw on it with Sharpies. So you can have kids draw their favorite own drawing. You can you can trace down a design, and then they can draw it with Sharpies. And here, now, I am not very good with ad hoc drawings here, but let's see. Just let's see what we can do. I'm just freelancing it here, just to show you that it is so simple. The Sharpie ink is permanent on leather, so that makes it nice to work with, and you don't need to be very artistic, and even young kids can make this. Christmas is coming, gifts for grandpa, grandma, that sort of thing is always possible. And I'm really just here, you just have fun with it. So, and like I'm doing now, you can let your inner 2-year-old out of the box. And let's say you can put a name in there. Anything that your imagination is good for. I've only got 4 colors here, but of course you can use as many colors as you want. And you can use acrylic paints, works really well on this. Any acrylic inks or anything like that will work really well. And of course, the older the kids, the more imagination they might bring to bear. And let's say that's it. Okay, so there you go. Now, cutting this out, I have a plastic cutting board. And of course, the bigger it is, the more convenient, but a plastic cutting board will do the job. Just a handy hint, this shelf liner that you buy, little beads of plastic, kind of helps prevent the cutting board slipping on a smooth surface. So now it's nice and tight, otherwise it slips around. Okay, so just a hint in between. Right, so now another tip here, even though there's straight lines, I am not cutting against a straight edge. Invariably that straight edge is going to slip and you're going to cut into your project. So I am just cutting those lines freehand, and of course depending on the age of your kids, you can help them with this, or teaching some safety aspects like my fingers never behind the blade, always on the wrong side of the blade, meaning wrong side, meaning not the side the blade will cut, the other side, always, 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 always. So, and with all leather tools, that's a good tip. Okay, so I'm got it cut on the outlines that I made. There we go. And I don't often like the sharp corners, so what I'm going to do is just chop off the 4 tips there. Just freehand, and it's all done. Okay, so now you will have to, and oh, I forgot, let me get the pattern back, put the pattern on there, and with that same scratch awl, this guy, I'm going to mark where the 2 holes are, where the snaps are going to be put in. Now I'm not going to show you the snaps today. I will put this video in on my blog, and there I'll have a link also to a video. Tandy has a video of setting snaps, and there's quite a few others, so I will put that there so that you can see. Okay, so for now, let's put that one aside. I think the other leather is ready for stamping. So we'll take that out. There it is. And you'll see that it is slowly starting to dry out, especially along the edges where it is starting to want to get back to its color that it was when it was dry. Now here, you do virtually the same as what you do with the Sharpies, or what I did with the Sharpies. And that is that you let your imagination run on these. As I said, I picked these 3 very simple tools. Let me just make an impression for each one of them. Oh, mallet, not a hammer for the tools. A metal hammer will destroy them, pin them over time. So preferably a wooden or a plastic mallet. You even get bakelite ones now. But let me show you what these 3 impressions look like. And you hold the tools totally upright. This one is just a dot, so the dot you don't hit that hard. And this one is what we call a beveler. So if you look carefully, it has got a toe, it slants to one side, so that if you hold it upright, it'll do an impression that is one-sided. Okay, so those are the 3 I'm going to play with here. This particular tool comes from Tandy, and it is has got a number B801, and the reason why I put this on here is because I don't want the need for a swivel knife in this. This tool is one of the very few that you can do freehand things with without needing a swivel knife. So I am quickly going to pause the video here and just switch the camera to the other side so that you get a good point of view of my working from this side and see exactly what I do. So here's a piece of leather, and as I said, it's starting to lighten up. As long as it's got its moisture deep into it, that's fine. So I'm just going to play with the stamps here to show you, give you an idea. So here I've got the what we call a camouflage tool. That's the semicircle one, and I'm gonna just stay away from the edge a little bit. I marked those shapes before from my cardboard template. I marked them in there, and now I'm going to do that. So there we go. Keep them upright, totally upright, and just put a row of them next to each other. And really, with these, the kids can just have super lot of fun. There we go. They're already one possible way of doing it. And you can just go right around the edge, play with it like that. So that's one possibility. I can put a double row in, like this, like this, like this. Opposing each one that is there already. And there's that. That's a possibility. The little dots, I can put a dot along the edge. Now remember, the dot has a smaller footprint, so you don't hit it as hard, just enough to make an impression. And now it looks like that. You see? So, in this way, you simply let the imagination go. The beveler that I showed, that is now used in a special way, and I'm gonna do my initial. Let's say I'm gonna make a J here. So I'm gonna draw a J with this scratch hole. There we go. It's very faint. I don't draw too hard. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Let's see. There it is. There it is. Just faintly drawn. Now I'm going to go with this guy right around the outer edge, and I'll show you the first impression, what that looks like and where you place it. So the front of the tool, the toe of the tool always faces you, so that you can do that. So you see, I've had the letter that I want to stand up between me and the tool, and I'm going to bevel it. I've got other videos about beveling as well, so I will point you to that as well. But I just want to give you an idea of what I call freehand, swivel knife free carving. So it is. I am turning the tool so that the toe of the tool always points towards the design that I want to create. And this leaves a lot of scope. Whatever your kid has a fancy character that it really likes. I don't know the current characters that are popular with kids, but kind of draw down or trace down the design, and then you can tool them. The kids can tool any freehand design, and there it is, my initial on one side. And again, you are now free to fool around with that. Let's put a few dots in there just to make it look a bit fancier. Let's say you wanted to add color to this. I would let the leather dry, like we did with the other one. With there we didn't apply water, we just had it dry. And then you can use Sharpie pens, ink, you can use acrylic paint, and all on the leather to give you color in the whole idea. So that's, in short, just having how you play around with this and let the kids have their imagination. Now, you will see that I did these on a big piece of leather. So on this one, I have two of these patterns marked out there next to each other. One was there and one was over here. And I've got a bigger piece of leather. So what that helps with is the leather is more stable on my table, and I have place next to the design to test the stamps to see, oh, what would happen if I do this, if I have 4 of them. What could I do with that? And you see, oh, wow, okay, I can do a little design there, you see? But it gives you a place to do that. And that's a problem with just buying a kit that you decorate and assemble. The kits don't come with extra leather that you can test on. So you want to buy a piece of leather that will allow you to test what you're going to do, to practice on the one side, and to give you the freedom to do that. Also, not cutting out the project at first mitigates the fact that some of the leathers will stretch or shrink when you get them wet, when they dry out. So it's a good idea to not cut out your project until it's done. Now this here, when I've done tooling it, I would let it dry, and when it's dry I can cut it out like we did with that one, and then set the 2 snaps on either side, and then it is ready, and you can wind your earphone cables on them. Now, the concepts of decorating these pieces of leather can go through to many other projects. Little bookmarks. You can use it to decorate the bottom of little valet trays, and I will add little ideas of where we can go with this as we go along. There are quite a number of books sold by Tandy, for instance, that would give you ideas of little projects, key fobs, key tags, name tags. The possibilities are endless once you get running on this. When this is finished, I will post photos of it in my blog as well, maybe attach them to the end of the video. There's just one important thing. When you're done with the project, like we were with this one, we could draw on this, we could tool on this, because the leather is not protected. The surface of the leather is not protected. And before the leather can be used, before this project can be used, we need to protect it. We need to feed it again, because in the tannery, they have taken all the fats and oils out of the leather. That's why we could get it wet and why we could tool it and why it's called tooling leather. So now we sit with a problem. The surface of that leather is very vulnerable and we really do need to seal it or feed it. The simplest way is just to wipe it down with a little bit of olive oil, or probably a much preferred one would be this, sold by Tandy. It's Hyde Rejuvenator. People in the UK and Australia would know it as Dubbin. Same thing, it's a waxy, oily thing that you can simply put on both sides. And so I'll show you this. I put it on with my hands. Just a little bit on your finger, don't overdo it, just a little bit. And you put that on. That will make the leather water resistant and it'll protect the surface. It will feed the leather from the inside, make sure it doesn't crack. It'll help prevent it from getting mold on, a whole thing, a lot of things. As I said, if you don't have this type of thing at home, you can wipe it very, very lightly with olive oil. But always be careful with oil. Don't soak it, don't apply it too heavily. I take a piece of cut off t-shirt, get it slightly damp with the oil, olive oil, as I said. Any plant or animal oil is good that you can use. So you put that on, wipe it with that lightly. You can always wipe it again lightly tomorrow, but if you put on oil too thick, the leather fibers get to pull away from each other, and the whole integrity of the leather is gone. You'll see that this piece went darker as I applied this Hyde Rejuvenator. That's just because kind of the leather now thinks it's wet. As that soaks in, you will feel it's not as sticky. It gets less sticky, and it'll soak in right into the leather, and it'll have a really nice feel to it. It'll be what you want for the final project. So there we go. It is that simple. If you've got any questions, you can post them on the video itself on YouTube, or preferably on the blog post where this video is incorporated. And I'll either augment, add to it, answer any questions you have, but it would be nice if you could interact and tell us where you need more information, and I can point you to that. Thank you. Bye-bye.